So guys, what is up? It's Teach here, coming at you again with another video over on Ark Survival Ascended. And well, we have been incredibly spoiled over the last, I don't know, like month, maybe 2 months, and we're going to continue to be spoiled for the next 2 or 3 months as well. And I have a feeling we're going to get some really big news, including stuff about Ark 2, as well as maybe the future of ASA, things like that. So yeah, without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. So I have posted one of these in a little bit, kind of like my reactions, what's going on and what I think is going to happen. So I'm going to go ahead and kind of cover a few of things because there's a couple of things between the last few community crunches that you can kind of piece together to make up some pretty neat information in general. All right, so obviously here's the one that everyone's excited about. This is the Ossidon or the Ossidon. I'm not sure how you properly say it. I'm going to say Ossidon just because it sounds interesting. Now, these things look absolutely terrifying, right? They are ginormous. It's obviously going to shift in some way, shape, or form, going to shift the meta. They're meant to be giant killers. If you read their dossier and kind of everything that they've come out with so far in this, they are huge. Now, obviously, you can also see, if you're paying attention, a little bit of a handheld. I don't know if this AI generated or if it's not AI generated. I'm assuming this is from Lost Ark. You can see like this handheld crossbow of some variety. Not totally sure, but this could or could not be something because they have been doing some AI generated images. And then you'll see a cool little drakeling skin of some variety because the little hat it has on it. Let's go ahead and zoom in so you can kind of see that. So the hat it has on it. So I got a feeling that we're going to see a few new things coming out over the next little bit of time here. And then this looks like it might be the actual Lost Colony map. If I had to take a wild guess, this is going to be the actual boss fight where you fight an Ossidon and this dude here. I'm assuming it might be Ragnarok in some variety, but I don't know, or not Ragnarok, Rockwell in some variety, but you know, who knows? So yeah, Ossidon looks like it's going to be super, super sick. You can see it's going to drop on the 18th, which is in 3 days. And then they pushed back Lost Colony again to December 16th. Absolutely nobody is shocked by that. It's just, you know, it's just how it is. So it's basically included with the Lost Colony expansion pass if you haven't gotten that already. And then some really cool things have been happening over the last few months. Now, they did state that they're going to redo almost all dinos from 2015 over the year of 2026 and 2027, but it seems like that might not happen anymore because they kind of moved to this extra life model where they're going to do 5 TLCs. It's pretty much locked in place already. The Aranio, Therizino, Giganotosaurus, Quetzal, and then the Megalosaurus look like they're going to be the top 5. The Gallimimus is like $10,000 behind the Megalo. Now, I think all 5 of these are completely reasonable to get a rework. I would say that Therizino might not need it necessarily. Maybe just a visual rework, but you know, it is what it is. You can see that there's all the donators. That's how you vote if you want to do that. And then this is a fantastic story. If you haven't read it, I'm not going to read it to you because it gives me a little teary-eyed. But you can go to that and check that out. Now, that's pretty much what I wanted to show you from this specific one because that's kind of just what it is. Now, more importantly, you can see that they've kind of released some small things about the Ossidon. Now, we know it's going to be a carnivore, obviously, right there. We know that some sort of temperament exists in them, so they're going to have different types of Ossidons. It's not just going to be one generic type. There's going to be ones with different creatures and different abilities and stuff like that, kind of like we had with the giant robot that can pick things up, or shield and stuff. I can't even remember their name right now. Tech Strider, that's what it is. You'll be able to get that. So yeah, kind of neat. So you can see right here, here's an overview of it. Projecting the Ossidon has already yielded ideal apex predator for our people's needs. Experimentation with the red element. I want to be very clear. This is new. Someone was trying to tell me that red element is what element is called. No, in the lore, there is element and there is red element. They are 2 different things. So somehow there's going to be some form of red element. Not quite sure how, but there will be in some variety. And I'm assuming it's going to be like a harvestable resource, kind of like they had all the other resources in the other games, but you know, that's up to you. You can see they are sorted at a distance by adaptation. And this is the thing I was talking about earlier, where genomic trait, the healthiest Ossidon might have a magnificent crest, while the deadliest will flash the longest teeth. So that's literally what I mean. So they're going to have either a big head or giant teeth. So like they're going to have damage focuses or tank-based focuses. I'm not quite sure how much of a meta change they're going to be, but I got a feeling there's going to be quite a bit. Now, I get the feeling they're going to be a little slow, if you were to ask me, just because I think that big of a creature can't be both fast and dangerous. It's got to be kind of like the larger creatures of Ark, except for like the Giganosaurus and the Karja. So I would avoid those. Now, if you haven't heard too much about it, the biotech teams are laboring around the clock to gestate and domesticate the Ossidons should the day come we need to defense against a Titan. Now, that's what I want to make sure people understand. These are meant to be giant killers, not small killers. So kind of like some of the other new creatures get bonuses when they're fighting large creatures, I get the feeling the Ossidon is going to be similar to that. Peacekeepers and guardians for the meantime, and engineered to produce excessive quantities of cryogenic mucus. Now, cryogenic, what does that mean? It typically means to freeze, right? Greatest weapon, icy wrecking ball, and bone chilling slush. So some sort of freezing ability, which is kind of cool. You'll feel unstoppable. I would compare these to a tank, which Ark has kind of been missing, unlike the speed specific creatures that it's got so far. This is a true, like, not like a tank as in it's going to soak damage, but like in the real world, like a literal like tank that shoots things. That's kind of what I would compare these to. But that's my thought process on it. Yeah. So, but the other really cool thing, and this one I think is going to be huge. This is the Palaeoctopus. Now, this one has some really cool abilities. If you haven't seen the stuff that the person created for this, this looks like an aberrant dino, so you're probably going to see it in like a bog style biome in the Genesis because it did win, but it's got a whole bunch of different special abilities, kind of like a gotcha has. It's going to have the ability to produce like these little potions, if you want to think helpful potions, and then volatile potions, and then a special potion. I'm assuming maybe it's like some sort of element version of potion. Not totally sure on it, but it's the dossier that the guy made for it is super, super cool. And it did kind of like slaughter. The only thing that was close was the irritator, but it just kind of, yeah, you see it just gets further and further and further. But yeah, pretty cool. Nothing really on this. We already talked about all of that stuff and how it ties in. The event is going on right now, so that's kind of cool. If you haven't seen this is the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle set. It's cool. I mean, I like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles when I was a kid, but it doesn't necessarily add anything special other than the cool skins. Now, a ton of people have bought them. I think a few 100,000 people, like 200,000 or 300,000 people have purchased the skin for it. So that's kind of cool. I mean, it's not too expensive, so it's not, do what you will with that. And yeah, that's kind of the big one. You can see there was a lot of really cool creatures that got introduced in this. In my personal opinion, this was probably the one that I would have wanted to win. And if it wasn't this one, I really like this like backpack looking one. So yeah, that's kind of what it is. And you can see that Fear Ascended is, well, it's now currently over, but they added some really neat stuff to it. That's kind of just, that. Now, the next thing, and this is kind of like where I'm tying everything in together with Ark 2. Now, basically what they said, you can see that they're releasing it on 12/16 for Lost Colony. What they're doing is, while they're doing that, apparently, you can see that there's a story cinematic brought to you by Mappa, which is a fantastic anime kind of creation unit. And yeah, so kind of really neat. Now, obviously, you can see that there's some sort of tech suit involved, and I'm assuming it's coming out with Lost Colony in some variety, some sort of tech suit or some sort of story-based driven thing. But it's going to be pretty cool. Now, let's talk about the most important thing that I kind of brought up earlier. All of this is heavily changing stuff, right? I think, if you were to ask me, that Ark 2 is not too far away. I know people keep saying that, but really, they're making all these meta-changing things and these new systems that are being added into the game. If you were to ask me, now, again, it's up to you whether you ask me or not, I would say that the reason they're adding so many weird things to the game is their limit testing. And I've been saying this for a little bit. When they added cars, remember, like the creatable cars, they wanted to know what kind of other systems they could use to create things. When they added trains, they wanted to know how trains could be added into the base game in like a transit system. Now, again, I think that's a testing station for Ark 2, but that's up to you. Now, the most recent map that they just released, or they're planning on releasing, this Ossidon, I'm assuming they're going to have not only this Ossidon, but another kind of like transportation tech that comes out with this. Don't know what yet. But again, I think they're limit testing for Ark 2. Now, they've already said the end of the generic story it goes like this. They're going to, all the generic base maps, right? They've released all of them. Now they're moving into Lost Colony, which is going to be followed by Genesis and Genesis 2. And then supposedly after Genesis 2 is the release of Ark. Following the current timeline that they are doing every give or take what? Let's call it 3 months they've got a map. I would expect Genesis maybe February to March timeframe. And I would expect Genesis 2 right before summer, May, June, early June would be my guess. And then after that, if I had to take a wild guess, I foresee Ark 2 coming out around Christmas time, because that's when a lot of people want to sit down and play games. And there's a little bit just more fun to just do those kinds of things. And money is a little more prevalent. People are willing to spend money. So that would be my guess. Now, I think they're probably going to release the anime in some regard to lead into Ark 2 with Santiago and all those things. But the only reason I say that is because when I look at this and I go into where's the download option? Download in full screen. Notice how we got a ton of these little like ASAs, Deinonychus, all these kinds of things. You can go into reveals and there's all kinds of little photos, but they're running out of things to reveal. So one of two things is going to happen. They're not going to release Ark 2 at all, and they're just going to keep with ASA. Or two, in my opinion, this is all just a giant setup and limit testing thing for Ark 2. Because they've added the tech bunker and other mod-based things. They want to know what they can do with the game, because in order to raise the bar for Ark, you've got to make a game that not only has the ability to tame creatures, you got to make a game that has an end game, so people want to keep playing, so breeding schemes. What they could add in is some sort of fishing scheme and some sort of individualization, which they've talked about doing, some sort of individual skill tree. And there's a ton of other things like that other MMOs have. A trading-based scheme, which is kind of cool. I think they're going to add something like that. They've got companions, so pets are now a thing. There's a whole bunch of things they've been testing. They're turning this game, hopefully, again, this is my hope. Knock on wood. I think the goal is to test all of these things. They can tie all of what they have together in Ark 2, because they're saying right now the biggest limiting factor for them not being able to release Ark 2 is people don't have the graphics cards to run it yet. Now, that being said, over the next year or two, most people will have transitioned into a 40 or a 50 series card. And that's kind of just where gaming is currently going. And that's just, that's the last step. So hopefully we can see some good information about it, but we'll see. So anyways, hopefully this video is something that helped you out. And other than that, teach.